You are listening to Right Off the Bus.
Hello, everyone. We are back for episode number 24 here on Right Off the Bus. It is Wednesday, June 9th. I'm Chandler Hutchison. That's my fantastic co-host, Pat Mahoney, who is now newly employed. Pat,
that's right.
Both having a little beer to celebrate our man Pat over here, new gainfully employed man. So we're excited about that. We're celebrating, Pat.
Yeah, it took long enough, right? I was unemployed forever. It felt like it was it was a long time coming. It's always the most random times too, where I don't even, when it first happened, I got a job quick, but like this time I was applying for months and like I expected at least some of those jobs to really get back to me. And I did go on a few interviews, but then finally this place got back to me, and I happen to know a kid there too. That was cool. I didn't know he worked there until I got the job and showed up. So that was fun. But yeah, I'm excited to be employed. We'll still get the show out. It'll be a little trickier for us to record now, but we will make the time. We will always make the time.
Wait till I get a full-time job, man. Then
we're really
get
gonna watch you have like the second shift somewhere too. You're working till 11 o'clock at night.
Oh,
that'll be a
man.
disaster.
Well,
strictly weekends though.
Hey man, one way or another, Right Off the Bus is gonna get their episodes out every single week. That's what really matters.
And June 9th, happy birthday to my brother Tom as well. It's his birthday.
Hey, there we go.
Yeah, happy birthday, Tom.
Happy birthday, Tom. What a nice way to start the show.
How sweet.
All right. And what a nice way to start the show. Pat getting a job, giving
couple
some
of high notes
brother.
This week, right?
Yeah.
A couple of high notes.
Start our show with let's start with a high and a low for the week, Pat. No.
Yeah.
All right. Pat, let's get into what we want to get into, man. Some sports.
This one could potentially be a high or a low, depending on who you wanted.
It's true. Now, I mean, biggest story in football and one of the biggest in sports really this week is Julio Jones finally gets traded. The Tennessee Titans finally pulled the trigger. Shout out my boy Mike Vrabel down there. I was happy for Mike when I heard about this move, when Diana Rossini broke this. But the Titans receive Julio Jones and a 2023 6th-round pick, and the Falcons get back a 2022 2nd-round pick and a 2023 4th-round pick. Pat, what are your thoughts?
It confused me because everything I saw was that the Falcons were at least going to get a 1st-round pick. But I was thinking that the whole time. I was like, they're going to at least get like a future 1st-rounder, but they ended up settling and they only got a 2nd-rounder out of it. So that 2nd and then the 4th. Then they had to give up the 6th, which isn't that big a deal, but still only a 2nd and a 4th. I really thought they would get more.
Yeah, no, I thought they would too, but this doesn't surprise me with Julio's injury history, his age, and like you talked about on that solo episode a lot, the just absolute cap hit that this guy is bringing with him. And that makes it tough, but I got to say, I put up an Instagram poll, man, and I said, who won this trade, the Titans or Falcons? And 90% of people, and I think it had like 30 or 40 something votes, said the Titans. And I was very surprised. I personally honestly thought the Falcons won this trade just because of where they are at cap wise, who they have on their roster, Julio Jones' age, all of that. I mean, the Falcons couldn't sign some of their draft picks until this trade happened. They needed this money, and you got to get Kyle Pitts a contract, man.
Yeah.
That's just how it is.
And with a little cap room, I hope they like get something for their defense too, or they at least, can work for something next year, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, and interesting too, Arthur Smith, the Titans offensive coordinator from last year, took the head coaching job in Atlanta. So I thought it was kind of funny that Atlanta's new head coach worked for Tennessee last year. I thought that was kind of interesting how that worked out, but hey, that's what Bill Belichick does with all his disciples he sends around the league. So I'm not.
And I guess AJ Brown's TikTok video worked out. I didn't think it was going to, but people wanted him to go to the Ravens. I tell you what, I was not. I was fine with him not going to the Ravens. So that's a high for me that he went to the Titans. AJ Brown worked his magic, and now they got a nasty offense. So.
Yeah, and I know that's something you're going to talk about later in the show, so we won't talk about it too much now, but that offense could be scary. Moving on with a little more football, man. This one was kind of sad when I saw this morning, Pat. Cameron Kinley played for the U.S. Naval Academy in college, and he tried to he requested to delay his commission to play in the NFL. So he asked the Navy, hey, can we push this back? Can I get a delay on my contract with what I'm already signed up for with you guys so that I have a chance to play in the NFL? And the Navy said no. The Navy said, no, we're good. I'm like, Joe Cordona is in the Navy. He's the Pats long snapper. They let him do this. Cameron Kinley, man, they won't let him go to training camp and go practice and try to make the team, which stinks. He's undrafted and he got a chance with the Bucks.
Yeah, and they just won't let
this
him,
just
huh?
stinks. Yeah, and I get it. It's a contract, and I get that he's signed up to serve, and that's what his education was for, and all this stuff. But man, just push it back a couple of years.
Did he go to Navy, like the college?
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
so when you get out of there, you pretty much have to go to the service.
Right, you're signed in, yeah, for 4 or 5 years, whatever.
Because they probably
sign a
pay for your
contract.
education, or at least most of it.
Exactly. Yeah. And, this makes sense. It just stinks because, this kid's dream has always been playing the NFL, went to the Navy, didn't think he had a chance, showed out, and, just kind of unfortunate. Just kind of.
Well, now that I think about it, like
if
these guys are like signed up to go and they're out, are there like, does this happen in a lot more scenarios then? Like Air Force, Army, Navy? Like, do these guys, like, they probably have some players.
They do get some, but recruits that are good enough to play and make it to the league, they're not going to Navy. They're not going to Army, But yeah, I mean, this just kind of stinks, and especially going to play for the defending Super Bowl champions. Who's not going to be rooting for this kid if he's on the field? Navy graduate, undrafted free agent. Cool. Who's not going to be rooting for this?
It's a good story. Definitely. No, I agree.
Without a doubt, Pat. Next one, man. Rodgers is officially holding out in Green Bay, misses the first day of mandatory training camp, getting fined $93,000 for it. And this comes after I think it was their president had some comments about him dividing the fan base with his actions right now.
I saw that. So, yeah, it's bad.
So it's not looking good, man. What are your thoughts on
Did he actually get fined? Or I saw that. So I haven't been on like social media much the last couple of days just from like going to work. I barely had time, but like I saw that the thing about dividing the fan base, and then I saw that he stood to be fined like 93,000, but I didn't know if he actually did get fined.
Yeah, I guess that it's one of those things where it's like if they waive it off, but like the team is planning on fining him.
I mean, I would. I'd be pretty pissed if I was in charge of the team, to be honest. Like as a fan, I'm like, whatever, good for Rodgers, but if I was the head of the team, like, you got to be pissed and be like, hell yeah, we're fining them.
Yeah, no, I don't blame them, and it's one of those things. This is just procedural. This is what happens. This is exactly what you expect to happen. So you don't show up, you don't get paid. It's kind of how it works. But
yeah,
I don't think Aaron Rodgers is hurting for money.
That is how work goes. No, he's been in Hawaii for what seems like a month, so I think he's doing okay.
Speaking of 4 men that do not need money, Pat, this next one. Meek Mill, Jay-Z, and one of the Sixers co-owners, Michael Rubin, all pitched in to buy Robert Kraft a Bentley for his 80th birthday. And I guess it's because they said this is a car he's always wanted, but he's never bought it for himself. So, Meek Mill, who he helped to get out of prison, I guess he hangs out with Jay-Z now, which I didn't know. And
all right, okay. So there's the connection. I was going to say, I was like, Meek Mill's a Philly guy. I was like, then the 76ers co-owner. I guess I get Jay-Z, but I was like, where's the connection there? Because like typically New England and Philly ain't great, but now I do remember when free Meek Mill was going around. Robert Kraft helped. He vouched for him. That's
apparently
funny.
They're friends. They like hang out. It's very weird.
I doubt Robert Kraft needed a Bentley, but he ain't gonna be using it for much longer. He's 80 years old.
I know. I was kind of surprised when I saw that. I don't know why. I guess I would have guessed that he was like 74 or 75, but 80. Just when you hit that next decade, it's kind of just like a shock number.
Maybe those massage parlors will keep him young. Maybe he'll get a few more years out of that Bentley. So.
that's what it is, man. It must be. All right, moving on from there, Pat. Dude, I texted this to you. This is one of the craziest stories I've seen in a long time. A Turkish court has given 2 men over 1,000-year sentences for fixing Fenerbahce games. One of them is a police chief who was caught fixing games and bribing people in this. The other one was some chairman or boardman or something. Dude, one is in for over 1,000 years. One is in for over 2,100 years for fixing soccer games.
Yeah.
Like, is that the most mortal sin in Turkey? It might be. Like,
Turkey doesn't play around, man. I mean, you see what
right?
happens with like Enes Kanter and then like his family. It's ridiculous. So for them, they take their top flight soccer very seriously, I guess, and they take everything pretty serious. Usually, it's speaking out against the government, but it's fixing soccer games apparently now.
This is a much bigger deal than what
Yeah,
Enes
I
Kanter has
guess those
done.
are kind of hand in hand, huh? It's like you disrespect them one way or the other, you get 1,000+ a year prison sentence.
Just in case anyone from Turkey's listening, I'm announcing myself as a Fenerbahce fan right now, so that I don't get any hate, get any threats, get any prison
Hey, fixing
sentences.
matches is not okay. Hey, we don't stand for that.
It's true. That's true. We do not. Pat, Logan Paul, Floyd Mayweather, they fight. They had fun. They're laughing, smiling. There's no
Oh,
winner. Logan Paul's 50 pounds bigger, throws 3 times as many punches as Floyd. What's your reaction to this whole thing?
it seemed like Logan was doing better than the stats at the end of the match kind of indicated. Like you saw, they showed it, and his accuracy was way less. Like he landed, I don't even know the figures off the top of the head, but his accuracy was not good according to the stats. But he seemed like he was doing better than he was. That like it was a win for Logan Paul, even though he didn't actually beat Floyd. I think it was a win for him, and I think Floyd, it's tough because there's such a weight discrepancy there. Like Floyd's the best boxer of all time, but he was also 30-40 pounds lighter than Logan. So it's tough. I mean, like Floyd needed to probably put him away, but it's tough when the guy's that much bigger than you, even if you are that good. I was listening to another podcast, and they were saying, Floyd could hit him with body shots anytime he wants and probably put him away that way because he doesn't have the knockout power to get out Logan Paul. It's just not possible with a guy who's like 190 when you're 150. So I guess it was a win for Logan Paul. I mean, I don't think it tarnishes Floyd's legacy like people were thinking. It's like to me, it's like whatever. I still think Floyd. I mean, there wasn't going to be a winner anyways, unless someone got knocked out. There was no winner. So the rules kind of set it up to just be. It was as I expected it to be.
Yeah, the fact there was no winner was definitely a shame. And you see Floyd after saying he had fun and he's complimenting Logan. And it's like, this looked like a charity thing for Floyd, but this
Yeah.
is him making 100 million. He saw this is legalized bank robbery. I'm in.
Yeah,
But
that
then
was the line. Yeah, that was it.
for,
Yeah.
for him to
Legalized bank robbery.
But for him to switch up and be like, oh, yeah, I like this kid. He fought well, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, and then he retired afterwards. What happened to, I'm going to fight both Paul brothers in the same night. I'm going to put them in a body bag. And now it's, oh, he's 40 pounds bigger than me. I didn't like that. But Floyd, this is what happens when you're old and you fight guys that are way bigger. One thing I did hear, though, on Flagrant 2, Pat, that I wanted to run by you, Logan Paul did better against Floyd Mayweather than Conor McGregor, which is nuts. Like, that's pretty crazy. And now I'm thinking, you put McGregor and Logan Paul in a boxing ring, Paul's still gonna have 30 pounds on McGregor.
And that's what it is. Like Logan got a lot better. I mean, he's had like top guys training him. That's the thing. These guys can just do it full time. Like I know he has his podcast, but like full time they're training. It's not like these UFC guys who some of them are working at Walgreens and then going to training afterwards and like in the middle of the night. Like he can spend like 8 hours a day working out, training, and you can get really good really fast. And obviously with Conor, that's the thing. It's the weight discrepancy too. Conor is about the same size as Floyd. They fought around the same weight. It was like a legit boxing match and a pro boxing match. And Floyd was a couple of years younger. I'm sure he's been living soft for the last couple of years since that fight. I mean, he made God knows how much money during the Conor fight.
I think 300 million.
Yeah, I was gonna say well over 100 million because Conor supposedly made 100 million. So Floyd definitely made more than that. So for all that, I mean, yeah, Floyd's probably been living soft for the last couple of years. And again, there's the weight discrepancy. Connor's, yeah, honestly, it's funny. Like Logan spent more time boxing than Conor ever did. Like Conor was a UFC fighter. And yeah, like his MMA gym was kind of like boxing focused, but it's just way different. I mean, you
Yeah.
saw him when he fought in the UFC. He was mostly like karate style almost. He had a really wide stance until he did the boxing match, and then it's totally different.
Mm. Yeah, and I mean even kickboxing before boxing for McGregor, you know.
Exactly.
Um,
So it's totally different.
Yeah, it is totally different. And I will say one thing, I liked Logan Paul afterwards. He said, "Hey, man, this was so much fun. If you think you can't do anything, believe it, because I broke the simulation, man. I'm a YouTuber who just boxed the greatest boxer ever. So,
Yeah.
break the simulation, keep believing." And I was like, all right, hey, fair game there, man. Fair game there.
Yeah,
That's cool.
you can't knock the guy. I definitely like Logan a lot more than I like Jake. Logan doesn't bother me whatsoever. Like he seems, I mean, he is the older brother, so maybe that's why, but he's definitely more mature and he's,
Yeah.
he's less rowdy.
That seems to be a pretty consensus thing on them too. But I think Jake's pretty comfortable in that low light. I think that's
It
I
seems
think
it.
that's kind of where he
It
thrives.
seems he does thrive there. Logan's a little more reserved.
All right, let's move on to some actual professionals here, Pat. Tom Thibodeau named Coach of the Year. I love it. I want to know what Tom Greer has to say. This was announced yesterday or today. I think that this is phenomenal from where the Knicks were to where they were this year, being the 4 seed in the East. Yes, they didn't, get out of the first round, but that's not what this is about. This is a regular season award. I
Mhm.
understand some other guys, Quinn Snyder of the Jazz, Monty Williams of the Phoenix Suns. I get it. But look at where this team was last year and this year. I think Tom Thibodeau absolutely deserved Coach of the Year.
Yeah, I'm wondering if they didn't give it just because like the Suns went 8-0 in the bubble, but then they got
Right.
bounced anyways because 8-0 wasn't good enough to stay for however it was set up. So I'm wondering if like it's because of where they were last season, like the Knicks compared to the Suns, because technically the Suns were in much better shape last season,
Mhm.
even though they went 8-0. Were the Knicks even in the bubble?
No, they weren't.
Exactly. Yeah.
But
So
I think you also look at, the addition of Chris Paul versus not no big additions in New York. Derrick Rose,
yeah,
maybe. Emmanuel Quigley is a draft pick, so
that's
that could be
true.
part of it too. And
And it's tough because like the emergence of players came at the right time for
mm,
both. I mean, for both teams too, but the Suns especially. Like you said, they got Chris Paul, who played unbelievably this year. They had the emergence of DeAndre Ayton. Devin Booker's played better than he ever has. There's been a lot of supporting cast guys who have stepped up, and it's tough to just say if that's up to the coaching completely. I'm sure the coaching had something to do with it, but
mm,
a lot of that is the players playing a lot better. And then you look at the Knicks. I mean, they had the emergence of Julius Randle. That's about it. RJ
right.
Barrett, I wouldn't say had an emergence of a season. I mean, he had a solid season, but other than Julius Randle, like it was, I would say Thibodeau earned it. Yeah, he had good coaching for that team to become the 5 seed versus the 4 seed.
Home
Four.
court.
So the Hawks were the 5. Yeah, I would say Thibodeau deserves it too. I mean, I don't think you could have gone wrong with the Suns, Jazz, or Knicks coaches, but yeah, the Knicks probably for Thibodeau probably deserved it.
Yeah, no, I'm not mad at it. It's his second time winning it. I like Thibodeau. He was an old Celtics guy on Doc Rivers staff, so I like Thibodeau. Um, moving on to the next award, Pat. It just came out like 25 minutes ago or so. Nikola Jokic themed NBA MVP. I love this, dude.
Something we didn't miss. We
Right?
caught it, right?
I was
Wow.
literally thinking that. I was like, what we were about to miss.
Yeah, 25 minutes earlier. Imagine if I hadn't commuted. That would have been funny.
But Nikola
I love
Jokic,
this.
me too, dude. I mean, lowest drafted player to win MVP in NBA history at 41, first ever second round pick to be named MVP. Willis Reed, way back in the day for the Knicks did, but the draft was different. There were a bunch of rounds, different teams. Anyways, lowest drafted, first second round pick, dude. Averaged 26 and a half. 10.8 rebounds, 8.3 assists, shot
Beast.
57% from the field, 39% from three, 87% from the free throw line, and is the first center to win the MVP since Shaquille O'Neal. I mean, put
What can
that
you
on
say,
your
right?
resume, Nikola. This
And
is
I know,
nuts.
it's a regular season trophy too. But honestly, if you just look at what he did in the Blazers series too,
Mm,
they don't have Jamal Murray, and he carried them to a series victory in the playoffs, which is already one of the hardest things to do. They didn't have Jamal Murray. He led the team there. And yeah, I know it's a regular season trophy, but I think it's just even more vindicated that he's just continued his play in the playoffs. And Jokic definitely deserved it. I think if we go back to our MVP like lists, we did our top 5 or whatever very early in the season. Jokic was my 1 or 2. I don't remember which one.
Him and Embiid.
I knew it was an Embiid, which is crazy because it's another center. So I don't know what's going on with the league right now, but 2 centers were like first and second MVP voting. And we said a few weeks ago, what was it? It was Embiid, Jokic, and I don't remember who the third was. Curry, because he had the scoring title.
It was Steph. Yep.
Yeah. So Curry. Yeah. Jokic definitely well deserved.
Yeah, I absolutely agree, man. This guy was phenomenal all year. He's an absolute unicorn. He's the best passing big man of all time. Like, this guy was created in a lab because look at him. Look at Nikola Jokic and tell me that he's the best basketball player in the world. It's nuts.
I always think back to like that teenage picture of him, and I'm like, this guy is cooking the Blazers. Like, what is happening?
Yeah, man, wins that 7-game series, and now they're down 1-0 to the Suns, but we'll get into that, Pat. First, we're going to start with some other basketball. We're going to get a little ball don't lie going as we move on here. But Pat, I got to tell you, man, there was some crazy news in the segment that we should be calling What We've Missed, because it happens every single week. Right after we get off, dude, I look at my phone. Danny Ainge retires, leaves the Celtics with a hole at GM, right? But Brad Stevens is here to fill in. And now we have a head coaching hole. Now we don't have a head coach. Dude, I got to tell you, this was nuts news to wake up to. I'm like, oh, I'm excited to download right off the bus's episode. But then then I see all this instead. I'm like, what's going on?
This is one of it. I've been like trying to follow Adam Taylor's Twitter, our boy Adam Taylor, but there's just nothing going on. But I always wanted to see what he thought. And I think I saw like we were thinking about interviewing like Jason Kidd for the head coaching job. I was like, I agree to that. I was like, I don't want that. It's like, I think I don't think Brad will fail us. I think we'll find a good coach. I tell you what, it's sad. And Danny Ainge did bring us a championship. He's the first Celtic to win a championship as a player and as a front office guy, whatever you want to call it. He's a legend, but I don't mind Brad Stevens in a like a behind the scenes role as a not head coach. Right. I think he could do very well as a president of basketball operations. I think he would be good at determining who can be the head coach. And I really hope he doesn't make me eat what I just said in, a week's time, but it's sad, but like, I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it. It depends who we hire as head coach, but I'm not mad.
And that's the thing. That's what this is all waiting on right now, because Brad said, hey, my job is to find the head coach. Then we'll look at the roster, but that's what he's focusing on right now. But I got to tell you, man, both of these guys during their press conference said the last 2 seasons have not been fun. The COVID seasons, it's been so weird. They said it's not been fun. And Danny's had 2 heart attacks, and one was 2 years ago. And he said, hey, it's about time for me to retire. The stress is ridiculous. And his doctor told him to stop working this job years ago. So I get that. But I got to tell you, man, it really does feel, I believe the reports, it really does feel like Brad lost this team. It felt like Brad Stevens did not have control of this locker room, and the guys were not buying into what he was selling. And I think that is one of the reasons why this transition to the front office could be perfect. I think that he's a beautiful, beautiful basketball mind. X's and O's, putting a roster together, seeing how guys fit together, helping with all these different decisions, and putting the right people in place. Like you said, we trust Brad to put the right head coach in place. I'm with you. I have the utmost faith in Brad to pick the right guy. But if he makes us eat our words, Pat, it's going to be rough whenever that decision comes out. I have seen Jason Kidd. The name that I love that's been linked is Chauncey Billups. I think that he would be a fantastic coach. He's one of those guys that doesn't have coaching experience, but everyone has interviewed and people want to talk to him about these positions. I think Chauncey Billups is a fantastic basketball mind. The trend is to hire former players that, come in to good teams and win right away. Steve Kerr did it. Steve Nash did it. Tyrone Lue did it as a first-year coach. It happens. I would like to see a guy like that. Sam Cassell's been rumored. There's been, people saying Becky Hammon off the Spurs staff. I don't know if any of those are going to happen, but I would really, really love to see a young former player come in, because that's the trend in the NBA, and that's who guys are going to relate to. Who's Jason Tatum going to relate to better, Brad Stevens or Chauncey Billups? So there's no question. You know what I mean? So I would like to see that happen, but I do trust Brad. I do trust Brad in the search, and I hope that whoever he puts out, on that sideline is ready for the challenge, because this team's ready to compete. It really is. So whoever he finds, I hope that they're ready for that. This
Mhm.
is what the Celtics team does. They should be competing.
Yeah, it seemed like the team was kind of caught in the middle and was almost like begging for change, but it still caught me off guard at the same time. But yeah, Brad said he was worn down from coaching. And what better way to, if you still want to be involved in the organization, Danny Ainge, who had a heart attack 2 years ago. I saw that. I didn't even realize that he had a heart attack 2 years ago. I was like, dude,
Mm.
this guy should have been gone already. I was like, if I'm having heart attacks and I'm in my 70s, like I mean, he's got buttloads of money. Like I'm good.
I think he's 62, but I could be
That's not
wrong.
that bad though.
Right,
But
right.
still,
No.
to be
Yeah.
having heart attacks, like I'm good to go golf, just relax. Like I'll spend the rest of my days just watching the Celtics. It's probably,
Vacationing.
I mean, he was involved with the organization his entire life, so it's probably tough to leave. But yeah, at the end of the day, like as a Celtics fan, it's very uncertain what the future
Mm.
looks like. But we have all the capabilities of putting together a championship squad. We do have a tough Eastern Conference, but I think we've got all the capabilities, and I do trust Brad.
Yeah, no, I absolutely do too. And two more things that I'll say. One is that I would love to see Brad Stevens come out and just blow our minds with a deal. Like whether it's the Kemba and Smart and a buttload of picks for Damian Lillard, which I don't think is going to happen. But whatever it is, I would just love to see Brad come in and be cutthroat. Imagine
Mhm.
if he sends Smart away. Imagine if he sends Boston's favorite player away right after becoming GM, dude. Like that would turn heads. And I would love to see a move like that from Brad.
It could be something we need, honestly. Like it's funny, like we always get attached to players that within a team, and we don't think about like, are they really the best thing for the team? Like I do love Marcus Smart, but we don't know if there's a better option out there.
Right.
God, I've seen the the Photoshop pictures of Damian Lillard in a Celtics jersey.
Looks pretty
I'm like,
good.
that looks pretty nice. Of course, that's what I thought about Kyrie Irving too. So
Mm.
I guess it could go bad.
Nothing still hurts more with Kyrie than the fact that he had his two most efficient years of his career here. Like he had his most assists, highest field goal percentage, highest three. Like he was playing awesome, which
Mhm.
which stunk. But I will say, Pat, the other thing that I'm hoping to see here, and I don't know if I'm in the minority here, I may be, or I don't know if people have really thought about this, but I would love to see the Celtics retire Danny Ainge's number 44. Danny Ainge played for the Celtics for 8 seasons. He won multiple championships while he was here. He was a role player, 11 points a game, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, whatever it was. But then he joined management for over 15 seasons and
Mhm.
he won a championship with us. He built a championship team. He got us out of ruts. He got us out of rebuilds. And, I know it wouldn't be retiring his number as a player, but I think it would be nice to do like a nice retirement of a career culmination with the Celtics. I think it would be really cool.
I think they should. I would agree with you. Like we said, first Celtic to win a championship as a player and as a part of the organization, as a front office guy. I think
Yeah.
he deserves it. I mean, the guy literally had a heart attack and then came back to work and was like just getting berated for the last 2 years through two like not fun seasons. I would say he's more than deserved that
Mm.
from the Celtics organization. And you cannot talk bad about Danny Ainge, no matter what mistakes he's made. Like you can't talk bad about him. He's a legend. And I don't think anyone's gonna be like chomping at the bit to wear number 44 either. It's not like the Yankees retiring almost like numbers 1 through 9, but
Does Rob Will wear 44? He
I
might.
don't I don't
But
remember.
I
He's
think
gonna
Rob
have to
Will could
change
use a new
numbers.
number.
Yeah. He doesn't
Yeah.
need to be number 44. No one needs to be 44. That's such an obscure number.
I ain't mad at you, bro. I ain't mad. Luca's wearing 77. What's up with that?
That's
Um,
obscure.
all right, Pat, moving on, man. This happened literally during the Brad Stevens and Danny Ainge news. And I was like, of course, Duke and Coach K put this news out during the biggest news cycle in basketball in the past like 2 weeks, because they're like, let's let it fly under the radar. But Coach K announces he's retiring after this season, man. And This is sad. This is definitely sad for me as a Duke fan, but we got John Shire, who's an associate head coach named Coach in Waiting, who's ready to take over. This guy was going to make it to the league, had an eye injury. There was a bunch of stuff going on, but he won a national championship at Duke. He's been a top scout and assistant coach at Duke. He's the guy that got Jason Tatum to Duke. He's the guy that got Zion to Duke. He's the guy that got Brandon Ingram to Duke, and I think that the tradition of top recruits and top play is going to continue with John Shire. It won't be quite as the level with Coach K, man, but Pat, let me just read a couple of these things with Coach K, because Coach K is the winningest college coach ever. And I mean, one of the best ever. John Wooden has more championships, but my man, Coach K, has 5 rings, man, 5 national championships from 91 to 2015. His career record in D1 basketball is 1,170 and 361. That is absolutely nuts. Over 46 years of coaching. He coached 5 years at West Point before he came to Duke. But he's won 6 gold medals as coach of the U.S. men's national team. He's had 11 player of the years play for him, 6 defensive player of the years play for him, most weeks at number 1 ever. Most wins ever, most wins at one school, most weeks ranked in the top 10, in the top 5, in the top, all of it, man. Coach K, absolute legend. I mean, I could go on for a while, Pat, but I mean, we got
the
Roy
list
Williams.
goes on. I feel like you could tell Coach K hasn't been having fun for the last couple of years, though. Like, it's been tough. I think the last couple of years have been hard on all sports, but those older head coaches, man, they took it especially hard.
Yeah, I think so too. I would absolutely agree with you. And one thing that I really liked when Coach K said during his interview was, or, in this presser, he's like, people say that I'm leaving because I can't coach anymore because the game's changing too much. He goes, you don't think the game has changed in the past 46 years? You don't think I've adapted in the last 46 years to keep winning? And it's like, yeah, man, you can adapt so much, but when you're in your 70s and there are health issues, like it's time to hang it up, man. And I don't think anyone's mad at Coach K for it. Man, it's gonna be weird after this season. No Roy Williams or Coach K in a Duke UNC game.
Yeah, they're both gonna have their not assistants, but guys within their head coaching staff or scouting staff gonna be head coaches. So it'll be weird. At least they didn't go for an outside source. They hired from within. So I liked that both teams did that.
Yeah, and it doesn't surprise me from either of these programs. That's how they operate. But oh shoot, I just totally blanked on what I was gonna say. Something with Coach K. Oh, dude, last game of Coach K's career, regular season, is going to be at Cameron Indoor Stadium, at Duke Stadium, hosting UNC.
That's
last
sweet.
Game of his career. I was like, thank you, Lord. That's going to be amazing. Oh,
unless they make the tourney, then
right.
Unlike this year,
it'll be the last game in Cameron because in the ACC tournament and in the NCAA, but put them in front of the home crowd against
last
UNC.
Home game hosting UNC. That's pretty cool. That crowd is going to be insane.
Dude, I can imagine those ticket prices. There's only 8,000 seats in there.
Yeah, it's going to be stupid.
Going to be absolutely nuts. But, man, respect to Coach K, all the love, Hall of Famer. I mean, he's been in the Hall of Fame. Like, he's been in the Basketball Hall of Fame for like 15 years. So, it's not like we can be like, now he's going to the Hall. He's been there. He's legit.
First ballot Hall of Famer. He's already there.
All right, Pat, moving on with the NBA. Let's just wrap up the first round of the playoffs so we can get any quick thoughts in here. But the Clippers beat the Mavs 4-3. Pat, the home team won.
They finally won, right?
I thought about
one singular game. And of course, it was to win the series. The Mavs couldn't get it done at home. They put themselves up 3-2 and could not get it done. It drove me insane because I wanted the Mavs to win the series. I wanted Luka to get a dub, but they couldn't do it at home. It took 6 games for a team to finally get to that home game win, and it was the Clippers.
It is nuts. It is nuts, dude. And Luka scored 49.
Yeah, it wasn't his fault.
And he was responsible for, I think I saw 76 points or 74 based off assists as well.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the most in the history of a playoff game.
And Luka, he shot pretty well from the field too. Like he didn't, just fire up shots.
But Luka in a game 7 put up the most combined points responsible for in the history of a playoff game. And they lost, man. It's crazy. It's crazy. Luka needs help. Porzingis is not a max player. It's been decided, man. And Tim Hardaway Tim Hardaway was the better part of that Porzingis trade. Kid was unbelievable. Kid, he's like 28. I'm 23.
Yeah, except for game 7 though. I was looking at the stats. He was 1 for 9 from 3 in game 7.
Tough.
So he makes 3 of those, shoots 33% from the field from 3. I mean, that's 6 more points right there. I forget what they lost by. It was in the double digits, but in the teens. But they're just there. Yeah, you're right. I mean, Kristaps didn't play well enough. Tim Hardaway didn't play well enough. Luka just didn't have enough help. And I didn't like that it was about like, oh, Kawhi took over the series. I was like, I don't think so. It's like I think it was more about what the Mavericks supporting cast didn't do for Luka. Like Kawhi played, I mean, he played great, but he didn't score 40 something points, shooting 45, 50% from the field. He scored like 28, which is still great, but
yeah, one thing I was surprised with this box score is that Kawhi had 9 assists and Paul George had 10. Like it was a total team effort from the Clippers. They're a better team. And I said it last week, the better team, they normally win in the playoffs. Like it normally evens out when the better roster wins, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
And I think that happened again in our next matchup, Pat. What a fun series, man. Denver beat Portland 4-3, another game 7. Jokic balling out, no Murray, Dame doing his thing. But, you know, another first round exit for Damian Lillard. The Nuggets advance, but I thought this was a fun series. And like I said, if there's anyone that I wanted to go to 7, I'm glad it was this one because it was a lot of fun to watch these games.
Those two
I
teams,
could stay up.
Those two teams, West Coast, right? It's tough. There was only like 1 or 2 nights where it was on at like a reasonable time, like a 7:30 slate. That was it. I always find myself rooting for Dame and CJ. I always find myself rooting for the Blazers at some point. And it was tough because I really do like the Nuggets, but I still wanted the Blazers to win. And the Blazers were up 3-2, right? If I remember correctly, they were up 3-2 as well. So Mavericks and Blazers, both the teams I was rooting for, ended up blowing it.
Yep, and we don't have to talk about this one because we did it last week, but Milwaukee sweeps Milwaukee sweeps the Heat. We already talked about that last week. Nets, Celtics, gentlemen sweep, man. This is what we expected. Took a 50 piece from Tatum to even win a game, which we talked about. We got Kyrie spitting on Lucky. We got him spitting on our center court logo and rubbing his foot in it. I mean, that's how this series went, man. I mean,
it was bad.
The only bright side was KD talking on a podcast or show saying Tatum was one of the toughest players I've ever guarded at 23. He's special. He's in my book with Kobe, LeBron, Tim Duncan. He's like, he's about that life. And that was cool to hear, but we expected this. No surprise here.
Yeah, that one's a tough one to talk about. We just brushed by it, but yeah, gentleman's sweep 4-1, never great. But now, hey, you know what? I'm glad because I know we'll get into it, but the Nets look phenomenal again. They look even better against, the Bucks. So I'm okay with it.
For real, man. And Pat, the Phoenix Suns beating the Lakers 4-2. Anthony Davis can't really play, but I mean, dude, are we a Suns fan podcast now, Pat? Is this our team in the playoffs? I think
I don't know, dude. I don't know if they'll have me. I was kind of bad. I was bad mouthing them for like 3 weeks. I was like, I have no faith in the Suns. I have no faith in the Jazz. And here you are. The Suns take home the series 4-2. In my defense, Anthony Davis like barely played. He was hurt. If he wasn't, if Anthony Davis wasn't out, like my prediction wouldn't have been terrible. Like, right. I mean, I don't know. I don't remember what you did, but I had Lakers in the finals. So
me too.
That's just embarrassing. But yeah, I'll take the Suns if they'll have me because I do want them to win. Like I'll root for them for sure. I like DeAndre Ayton a lot. I love Chris Paul.
If any Suns fans want to hit us with a smear campaign, feel free to go back to all of our episodes and find out. We'll take the streams, we'll take the YouTube views. Yeah. Go back and find what you want to expose us about. Where
I consistently did not have the Suns moving on. So
hey, next one. Sixers beat Washington 4-1. Nothing surprising here. I was surprised Washington won a game. I mean, quite frankly, I thought this was going to be a sweep, so this doesn't.
Yeah, I can't remember if I mentioned last week or if it was off air, but I mean that would have been a sweep if Embiid hadn't gotten hurt in Game 4. Like the Wizards wouldn't have gotten a win there. I think Embiid left early; he had like 9 points or something, so he probably would have got 30.
Without a doubt, man. Without a doubt. Atlanta beats the Knicks 4-1, dude. We were so wrong. We were shocked, dude. Trey is built for these moments, and dude. this team's built for the next 5 years. This team is so young.
It's a very good team.
They're so well put together. Like the construction of this roster is fantastic. I love what this team's doing, Pat.
Yeah, and they can only go up from here. I think they could even add another piece. They probably got some money to work with. But Trae Young, Clint Capella, their team, they got a good supporting cast there as well. We both pick the Knicks? I definitely picked the Knicks, and they got one back at Madison Square Garden, but they went back to Atlanta. It was tough. Just they took both two L's in Atlanta, then got sent home in New York, huh? Trae Young shut him out in New York. That's tough.
And then the last matchup there, dude, for the first round is Utah beats Memphis 4-1. Memphis wins the first game after the controversial sitting of Donovan Mitchell. And then they sweep them afterwards, man. No surprise here. I love John Morant, but this Utah team's legit.
Yeah, the Grizzlies team just wasn't good enough. I mean, the Jazz are such a complete team. You got Gobert defending in the paint at the rim. You got Donovan Mitchell scoring. You got Mike Conley running the point. The team is nice. They got Paul Millsap too. They have a great team.
No, they absolutely do. Wait, no, Paul Millsap's on the Nuggets. Yeah, no.
Paul Millsap used. Yeah,
he played there forever. He was there for like 8 years.
Yeah, I'm thinking in the past, Paul Millsap used to be on the Jazz.
All good, man. All good, man. Next matchup, man. Our next round matchups, I should say. We're in the second round, man. We got 8 teams left. We got the Hawks beating the Sixers in the first game, dude. I love it. Embiid doesn't play, but Trae balls out, dude. This team with Embiid, they can't win if they don't have Embiid. So
yeah,
Trae Young and those Hawks take advantage of it, man. Going up 1-0 against the 1 seed is big. That's huge for these Hawks right now, man.
And the Hawks were up a lot and the game tightened. So it does make me a little bit nervous for the rest of the series. But yeah, if Embiid's hurt, I mean, he's either going to have to play through an injury to try to win the series, or if they rest him, they're just going to have to hope for the best. But we were talking about that when we were debating MVP between Jokic and Embiid, like who would be more critical, if they lost. Like, I think, like they'll just have Tobias Harris and Ben Simmons. Can they win a series without Embiid? I don't think so. Definitely not. I don't see that happening. Could the Nuggets win with just Jamal Murray and Aaron Gordon without Jokic? Definitely not. Yeah, I think it's just the same thing. If Embiid's out for this series, I think the Hawks take it.
No, I'd agree with you, and man, I would love to see the Hawks up against the Nets just because they'd be trying to score as many points as possible. But Pat, no one is beating this Nets team. We've been saying it for a while. They're up 2-0 on the Bucks in the second round. They didn't have James Harden in the second game, and they beat the Bucks by 40 points without arguably a top 6 or 7 player in the world. And then in game 1, he played 1 minute. He got hurt in the first minute, dude. He injured the same hamstring that kept him out a month. But this Nets team is up 2-0. Giannis and the Bucks have no chance. This would surprise me if this was a sweep. I think Milwaukee's going to get one, but this Nets team is scary, dominant, and Kevin Durant's the best player in the world. He's reminded everyone that now that LeBron's not in the playoffs, and
yeah, they were up 50 at one point in that game too, which is just unbelievable. I agree with you. I think we'll be looking at a gentleman's sweep here. I think they'll split in Milwaukee, and then they'll go back to Brooklyn, and that'll be it. That'll be all she wrote. And the Nets will just be waiting around for whoever's next. I mean, they'll be waiting for the next challenger. I mean, if it's Nets Sixers, I think they win regardless. Next, right. Nets Hawks, I think they win regardless. And whoever comes out of the West, Jazz, Suns, Nuggets, it don't matter. I still think we had the Nets all the way. I ain't backing down from it now. Dude, and it's not a bold prediction by any means, right. But I'm not going to back down from it.
Blake Griffin had like 18 and 13 off the bench, and he put Giannis on a poster, dude. He hadn't dunked in 2 years in Detroit, and he's dunking on the reigning defensive player of the year. Like this is
Blake was putting up like 2 points a game before that, and then Harden's out, and all of a sudden, like even he goes off on the Bucks. So what can you do?
It's crazy, man. It's crazy. You can't do anything. They're running out of the East, and no one can do anything about it. Moving to the West. Phoenix beats Denver in game 1, man. It was a solid win. I think they won by about 15. And dude, I got to tell you, this Phoenix team is legit. And, I don't think anyone has a chance outside of the Nets. I think the Nets are running through everyone, but this might be the next best team. This might be the next best team in the league. Chris Paul, Devin Booker, and DeAndre Ayton is a crazy big three. I love what they do. And I got to tell you, Ayton played phenomenal against Jokic. Jokic got his. He's the MVP. We have to start saying that now. He's the MVP. But Ayton is a phenomenal body to match up with him. And I love what this Phoenix team is doing, man. They keep proving people wrong.
Yeah, they're a team where like I wish Chris Paul was like 5 years younger, because if they could have a Chris Paul with some like gas left in the tank, they would be set for a while, because they are going to be like we were talking about the Hawks being set up for the next 5 years, whatever it is. Phoenix can be. They're going to have to find a facilitator like Chris Paul, like someone who can just facilitate the offense, run point. They don't need a high scorer. They just need something that's going to gel, because clearly they found the recipe. I think this is it. Their team has great pieces. DeAndre Ayton is a beast in center. They need to keep him. They need to keep Devin Booker. And if they can find a point guard who's going to gel as well as Chris Paul, they're definitely going to be set.
Yeah, no, I think that's very fair. And it would be nice to find his heir apparent. I mean, Cam Payne is not the answer, but Cam Payne's been awesome as their backup point guard.
Definitely.
He's been phenomenal. I mean, what a comeback story he is from G League and all that. But yeah, dude, this Phoenix team's set up. And, without Murray, I think if Murray's playing in the series, give me Denver. But without Murray, I think that Phoenix has a chance here. I love what Aaron Gordon's doing, especially defensively, switching out onto guards and tagging guys like Devin Booker. But it's going to take a lot to beat this Phoenix team. And, whoever wins that series, Pat, they're matching up with either the Clippers or the Jazz. And I got to tell you, dude, I'm starting to believe in this Jazz team more and more than I want to. I picked the Clippers to win and then beat the Jazz in the second round. And I don't know how confident I am in this. I think that this is a potential 7-game series. I love how the Jazz's roster is constructed. I love what the Clippers are. Obviously, they're supposed to be where they are right now. That's the plan with Steve Ballmer. But I love this matchup, man. And I think that the Jazz may take this. I think it's going to go 7 games. But if I had to lean, I'd go 51% Utah right now, which I did not think I would be saying. I predicted the Clippers to beat them 2 weeks ago.
And that's the thing, too. If they do go 7 games, I'm definitely taking the Jazz, because the Clippers just came off a 7-game series and the Jazz got a gentleman's sweep. So the Jazz have a little fresher legs. I think their team's a little more complete than the Clippers are. The Clippers are kind of relying on Kawhi and PG a little too much. The Jazz I know Donovan Mitchell is obviously very important. They could still get it done. They could go 6-7 games. I'm going to take the Jazz as well. Skip Bayless saying that Clippers are going to the finals. I don't think so. I don't think the Clippers go to the finals.
Pat, I don't want to hate too much. I don't want to pull too many receipts, but I do have a certain co-host that said the Warriors were going to be beating the Jazz in the first round.
I did say that.
So
you didn't have to bring that up.
I did say
that.
I appreciate you coming around on the Jazz. I appreciate you giving them their flowers.
I did a hard 180. I couldn't do as big a 180 on the Suns, but oh man.
I'm just giving you a hard time, brother. The Jazz are playing awesome, man. It is what it is.
My win percentage, man, it's not good. It ain't good.
We're gonna have to go back and check who predicted the most right.
Yeah, we got what I missed and what Pat was wrong about. So that's what we'll talk about.
We got a Chandler correction sheet going too, man. I just be saying wrong numbers just for fun on here.
Well, yeah, I just said Paul Millsap was on the Jazz, so yeah, I'm right there with you.
All right, pal. Let's stop talking about things we do wrong, man. Let's just get back to it. We're done with basketball. We got a few more things to wrap up the show. Pat, I keep getting these runners high updates, man. Our James Lawrence tracker, but dude, today's day 100, Pat. James Lawrence right now, as we were speaking, is completing day 100 of 100 Ironman triathlons in a row. 2.4 mile swim, 112-mile bike ride, 26.2-mile run every day for 100 days. I can only go crazy on this topic so much on this podcast, but Pat, this is the greatest endurance feat of all time.
Yeah, I mean, it's just
runners,
unreal,
hikers, right? Anything.
100 days of doing that.
Dude,
I do it once in my life and be like, I'm good. Like, I was enough working out to just be completely done. And he's doing it every single day for 100 days. Damn.
I'm sure he'll have a book come out. He has a documentary, a crew following him around, so that'll come out. I can't wait to watch it, but people don't understand what this guy's doing to his body. I hope he rests for the next 6 months. I
He
hope that
should.
he takes the next year off. I mean, this is nuts, but also, Pat, I can't wait to see what comes next from James Lawrence.
I
I
hope he's
can't
getting like
wait to.
sponsorship money to do this because like
He
Hella
get,
just ran across Hella Sidibe just ran across America, which is like ultra impressive. And now James Lawrence says, "Hold my beer," and I'm gonna do this at the same exact time. I'm gonna do it every day. I
every
hope he's
day.
getting sponsorship money. I know it's
He,
not Gymshark like Hella Sidibe, but I hope he's got something.
he gets some sponsors, and people have been sending him stuff, but I hope that there definitely is some monetary benefit for
Yeah,
him and his
he got
family
to
at the
talk
end
to
of this.
GSP, which is great. But I hope he's got plenty of cash in his pocket as well.
Oh, and I'm sure the podcast and book tour and everything is gonna be doing all right. But man, shout out James Lawrence, greatest endurance feat ever. I don't even care, dude. Hiking across the country, running across the country, dude, doing anything. This is the greatest endurance feat. And Pat, you know me, I listen to a lot of weird endurance books, man. Like I I learn about these things. Nothing touches what James Lawrence is doing, the Iron Cowboy. Go check him out right now at Iron Cowboy James on his socials. This guy is legit, man. Absolutely love him. But Pat, I could go on about him forever, man. So we got to get on to some listener questions. We got a few to run through this week. First, dude, we got our boy Joe Braverman. As always, love that Joe keeps sending in questions. His podcast,
He's
Let Me
always got
Speak.
good ones. He's
Oh
always
yeah,
got good ones.
dude, on IG, Let Me Speak official. Go check him out. But should the Trailblazers trade Damian Lillard? Joe Braverman, how dare you? No, they shouldn't trade him.
For
No.
this one, this is more. I think the question should be: should Damian Lillard demand a trade from the
Right.
Blazers? And I think that's an absolute yes. Should the Blazers trade him? No.
No.
But should he demand a trade? 100%. Absolutely. Get him in the green and white, the white and green. Get him in the Garden. Get him in Boston. We'd love to have him. No, but in all seriousness, Damian Lillard should demand a trade, but the Blazers should not get rid of him. It's nice, CJ McCollum and Dame together. Like it's a great duo. But they've just needed another piece for so long and they've never gotten it. Like Carmelo played way better than I think anyone thought he would this year and in the playoffs, but it wasn't enough. It's not hoodie mellow. It's not, Nuggets mellow. We're not getting, early Knicks mellow. Like we're getting a very end of his lifespan in the NBA mellow. And that's the only piece he has. He has nothing else. So CJ and Dame, that would be tough to break up, but I would like to see Dame go somewhere else.
Yeah, no, and I agree with you. I don't think the Blazers should trade him, but if he wants to move, I think that he should try to get moved. I mean, CJ's great, but he's not good enough. Carmelo's good, he's not good enough. Covington's good, he's not good enough. Nurkic is awesome, he's not good enough. Enes Kanter grabs 30 rebounds in a regular season game, but doesn't play in a playoff game. I mean, you're not on a team that's good enough. Obviously, I'd love him on the Celtics, but I mean, what does it take? Kemba Smart, Rob Williams, Peyton Pritchard, and 4 first-round picks. I don't know if he's gonna get moved. I would love to have him, but if the Blazers, you're not gonna get back enough value for Dame. So, I mean, I wouldn't trade him if I was the Blazers. But like you said, it depends on what question you're asking. Another question from our boy Joe Braverman: who is the NBA playoff MVP so far? Pat, I gotta tell you, I just think it's Kevin Durant. I think that Kevin Durant has been by far the best player in the playoffs. I think that he's reminding everyone that he is a top 2 player in the league, and he might not be number 2. The only reason I'm saying a top 2 is because he missed a couple months, so it's hard to give him that crown. But no one's stopping Kevin Durant. Giannis, dude, he's crossing up Giannis left and right.
Yeah.
I would go with Kevin Durant as my NBA playoff MVP so far.
And I'm going to go with, just because of who's more valuable to their team, I think with James Harden and Kyrie, I think the Nets could still get by just fine. I think it'd be a closer series, but I think they'd still beat the Bucks.
What about just Kyrie?
No, that would be a disaster. He'd leave Brooklyn and stomp on the logo. That's what he'd do. But I'm going to go with DeAndre Ayton for the Suns because I'm high on him. But also, if they lose DeAndre Ayton, like that, they have Chris Paul and Devin Booker, but that team is not the same team. He obviously was on fire early in the Lakers series. His stats are still great. Obviously, they're not compared. He's not the highest scorer. He's almost the highest rebounder. I know he might be. Doesn't get like that many assists, but like the value he brings to the team shooting 62.6% from the field is unreal. He's
Nuts.
averaging 14.5 points a game, 10.5 rebounds a game, shooting 62% from the field. So he's efficient beyond belief. And for him, he plays great defense in the paint too. I think for like that team, I think he offers the most value to the Suns than any other player brings to their team. Maybe Donovan Mitchell to the Jazz.
But also, yeah, no, you're right. I mean, look at the teams that they're going to be matching up with. They're matching up with Nikola Jokic, and then next round they're either matching up with Serge Ibaka or Rudy Gobert. So it definitely is vital, man. I like that pick. I wasn't expecting it. I like that.
And it
pick a
could get
lot.
better too if he's able to, you can't shut down Jokic, but if he slows down Jokic enough to where the Suns can get a, not quick series win, but if they can win it manageable, maybe a 4-2 series, then my pick I think is more justified.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love it, man. That was great. My buddy John Chu decides to send in, can you explain Champions League seeding? And he did this because we're at work the other day and I looked at the 55 countries that qualify for Champions League and like the amount of time it takes to get to like the qualifiers. So I just wanted to say I hate you, John Chu, for asking this question. That's all I wanted to say. Now we're going to move on to the next question, Pat. Was Monty Williams snubbed in the Coach of the Year race? That's from our buddy Brett, my buddy Brett. Snubbed is just such a tough word because I'm one of those guys where I'm like, being top 3 in something isn't bad. Saying Monty Williams second or third in Coach of the Year race, I don't think it's a snub. I don't think it's an insult to say you had the second best coaching year out of your 30 contemporaries. I don't think it's bad. I said it before. I think Thibodeau deserved it. I like the Thibodeau pick. I'm in on Thibodeau winning Coach of the Year. I think Monty was second. I think Quinn Snyder was third. So I have no problem with it.
Yeah, I think he definitely could have deserved it, but I definitely don't think he was snubbed. Like I said earlier, like it was between those 3 coaches, and I would have been fine with any 3 of them getting it. Like if you said Monty Williams got it, sure.
Great.
If Jazz could, would you say the Jazz head
Quinn
coach
Snyder.
name? Quinn Snyder,
former Duke player, by the way.
Yeah, so that's why you know his name. But if Quinn Snyder takes it, I'm not mad at that either. But the fact that Thibodeau got it, he definitely deserved it. I don't think Monty Williams was snubbed. He could have gotten it, but I don't think I don't think it was crazy that that he should have gotten it.
Right. That's absolutely fair, man. All right, Pat. Well, time to wrap up the show. So as always, we're going to get a quick word in from our sponsor, Book Thinkers, before we get on to what we've learned. So, Pat, if you read personal development books, you need to go check out Book Thinkers. This company is dedicated to helping you fulfill your life through books. Every single day on Instagram and every week on their podcast, the team over at Book Thinkers is helping you discover new books and new mentors that can help you achieve more and live better. So please head on over to bookthinkers.com or go over to IG and type in Book Thinkers to find out more, because the right book at the right time can absolutely change your life. So please check out Book Thinkers, especially on IG at Book Thinkers. Now, Pat, let's get on to what we've learned. And why don't you tell me what you learned this week, Pat?
Yeah, so what I've learned, we started to get into it earlier just with the Julio trade, but the Titans now have probably the highest potential offense in the league in the NFL, maybe outside of like the Ravens. I think that's not just me being biased. The Ravens have very high potential for a great offense. The Chiefs always do, but in terms of like teams that are on the come up, Ravens, but then Titans, obviously they just got Julio. They'll have AJ Brown. They literally went from Corey Davis to Julio Jones. So if Julio's healthy and he plays all year, if he doesn't miss games, Julio Jones, AJ Brown, Derrick Henry, and then obviously if Tannehill plays the way he's been playing for the last couple seasons in Tennessee, I mean, they have all the capabilities in the world. But what's really going to test the team this year is going to be their defense. They finished 24th in defensive ranking last year. They were, I think, bottom 5 in yards allowed. Didn't have that many turnovers, 4. So it's going to be on their defense. The defense definitely needs to step up. Their offense has all the capabilities in the world, but the AFC is the toughest it's ever been. So if they want to make it through the playoffs, Julio can obviously be a difference maker, but when it gets to playoffs, man, it's all about defense. Like you gotta be able to shut people down. So I'm curious to see how it plays out.
Not to mention they lost guys like Malcolm Butler and Jadeveon Clowney off of that defense. I
Yeah.
mean, they're missing some guys, but I'll root for my man Mike Vrabel, that's for sure. Pat, I just got a quick question for you before I get on to mine. I should have thrown this in here. They came out and said Lamar Jackson is going to be operating under center more. He operates less under center than any quarterback ever, because he's always in the pistol and in the shotgun because of his running threat. But they said they're going to operate under center more and try to get him throwing the ball more. What do you think about that? You excited to see Lamar kind of have a little bit more versatility and let them open up that offense a bit more?
I am, because I think he was under center a lot at Louisville, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
And he won a freaking Heisman there. So I think if you're just gonna add more versatility to the offense, it's gonna just be even better. So I'm very excited for that. I'm glad you brought it up.
Yeah, I was like, oh, how'd I forget that? You brought up Lamar, but yeah, that offense is going to be scary too. Looking forward to seeing that. Speaking of another offense, man, I don't know if it's going to be scary, but these two are, dude. Now that this Julio Jones trade has gone through, what I've learned is that Kyle Pitts and Calvin Ridley are poised for mega years. I remember when Calvin Ridley was coming out of the draft, they asked Amari Cooper about him since they're both Bama guys, and he said he's better than me right now. Like his route running is absolutely nuts. Calvin Ridley, I think, is a superstar, and I think that you're going to get the chance to see that now if Matt Ryan can deliver, much like Tannehill. But also, Kyle Pitts, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that Kyle Pitts is going to be the third best tight end in football this year, so receiving wise. I think it's going to be Kelsey and, oh my God, why am I blanking on his name? The 49ers tight end, Kittle.
Kittle.
I don't know how I just blanked on Kittle. Kelsey and Kittle. And I think Pitts has it to be that third guy. I'm going to take this guy way too high in fantasy football. I can already tell. But I think that this offense is poised for a big year, specifically these two young studs. And I think that the departure of Julio kind of lets that happen. And I think with a new coach, and Arthur Smith, I'm excited to see what happens. But Pat, that's what I've learned this week is that Kyle Pitts and Calvin Ridley are poised for some big time years.
Taking him over Mark Andrews, huh? Is that just because the Ravens added a little offense in the other receiving department? We got Watkins and Bateman. So
yeah, the problem is Andrews is no longer the number one receiver, but he's still going to be the number one red zone threat. That dude is a beast in the red zone.
I definitely don't disagree with you. I mean, Julio leaving, like, the plan is definitely to use Kyle Pitts as much as possible. And Calvin Ridley was already the wide receiver one there, I think, regardless, because Julio was injured anyways.
Played 9
Calvin
games,
Ridley's just going to merge even more, and he's going to be a serious problem.
Well said, Pat. Well said. Hey, man, that's episode 24, dude. Crazy 24. We're already through it, man. Every time I say one of the episode numbers, I think of a player, like right in my head. I was just like Ken Griffey, Kobe Bryant, just rocking the 24s. But it's been fun, man. It was another good one. We're filming at a different time than we normally do, and that's going to be happening. Pat's work schedule's changing up, but we appreciate everyone listening, everyone sticking with us and taking that hour and a half out of your day to spend with us, or your week, if you chop it up, kind of like I do. You got to listen to it on some separate days sometimes, but we appreciate every like, follow, subscription, comment, share, save, all of that nonsense, guys. We really do appreciate you listening and coming on this journey with us, man. It's always such a good time, Pat. And
I know. We're almost at the half year mark, so we're almost there. We're almost at 26 will be the half year mark.
Couple of weeks, man. And hey, we got to have a beer today to celebrate you getting employed, man. And it's good, man. It's a good day.
And this will have been our usual Wednesday release, but we may have a switch up of release days coming up. We'll see what we do. We're not sure yet, but we'll make an announcement if we do.
We'll keep you posted, gang.
All right. Thanks for listening, guys.
Peace out.
You are listening to Right Off the Bus.
Thank you.